I was muted the whole time. Y'all, I was just talking to y'all and y'all couldn't even hear me. Oh my God. So let's do this. Let's try this again. Embarrassing. Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Elder Carter, Kirby. Yes. All right. All right. Listen. Thank you for joining Everyday Life with your girl, Tori Munson. I am your girl, your queen, your preacher, your teacher, your motivational speaker. I'm here today, live. Got my hat on today, got my hoodie on that says Delivered Mom, that is Delivered Mom. Yeah, I see I got my haircut. You know, I got to get a new haircut and get my stuff going here. But I sported a hat today. I'm glad y'all are in the house tonight. Y'all got 14 viewers. 14 viewers in the house tonight. Let's go. Come on, y'all. Tag and share. Tag and share. Come on, Renisha, show your face. My guest. Yes, there she is. Okay, listen. Listen, y'all. I need y'all to tag and share. 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 Come on and tag and share. Yes. Well, thank you, Etta Carter. Hey, daughter. Hey, daughter. Come on and tag. Sharita. Come on, Tiara. Kirby. Y'all coming strong. Yes, let's go deep. We got 13. Listen, y'all. We got to climb these numbers. I need you guys to help me share. We have a special guest here today. Her name is Renisha Bishop. And today, this podcast is called I Married a Counterfeit. Now, everybody want to get married, right? Women, we're ready to be married, right? People are tired of being single. Come on, hey Alexis, share. They're tired of being single. They want a mate. They want someone that they can do things with. They want someone that they could enjoy life with. They want a mate, right? And so it's so important that we as women and men select, pick, wait on the right one that was made and created for us. Come on. So we're going to dive right in with our girl here, Renisha Bishop. Listen, y'all, I don't know a lot about Renisha Bishop. I spoke to her a little bit. Her story was rather deep to me. And I said, I have to have you on my show because we as women, sometimes we select the wrong person out of emotion, out of feeling that we think this is the one, but not really seeking God to make sure they're the one, or we miss red flags. We miss red flags. And we go because maybe they smell good, they look good, they tell us everything that we want to hear. And listen, we dealt with rejection, we dealt with a whole bunch of stuff. And guess what? Here come Mr. Right. Mr. Right then came into our life, and Mr. Right then told us what we wanted to hear. You right? Hey, so Renisha, come on, girl. I
Hello.
want you to go ahead and, first of all, just say hello and tell people who you are, Renisha Bishop.
Hi. So actually, I go by Rain, CEO Rain. I am a serial entrepreneur and social justice advocate who has dedicated her life to advocating on behalf of Black women.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Okay, so she's advocating. She's an advocate for Black women, and I love that. So, Renisha, we want to just dive right in and we want to know all the information. Like, okay, tell us from the beginning how you met this man and what made you think that
Yeah.
he was that one. What happened in all of that time?
Yeah. So Tony girl, I want to address something
Go
before we
ahead.
get into this conversation. Oh shoot. I'm trying to stream on TikTok and the stand not working.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, so there's this popular saying. So I'm a church girl, well, reformed church girl, because I see that debate between church girls and kingdom women. I don't know where I fit in right at this second on that debate, but I grew up in church. And so I'm very well aware of our rhetoric and how Christian people talk about things and how we adopt certain sayings and make it seem like it's biblical when it's not. So something that has been recently just been kind of pondering around in my mind as we talk about this counterfeit, right? Is the saying that people are saying like, before God sends your real person, the devil will send a counterfeit. And I really don't know if that's true or not. Like, take that up to God. But what I would like to offer is a different perspective, because I don't want to keep telling women, once you get rid of the counterfeit, the real one is going to appear, because that might not necessarily be true. As a person who has experienced a slew of broken relationships, I feel like we need to be telling women, heal and get closer to God so that you can decipher and discern who is for you and who's not for you. I don't think that one bad relationship will qualify anyone to be ready for a real kingdom ordained relationship. And so I feel like that rhetoric around, okay, you got past the counterfeit, not a real one on the way, but the real one might actually, or the one that you get may look like the real thing, but then it's also another counterfeit. So I say that just to kind of expound on my story of how I even got married. So, because it was that same thinking, like that was the same thinking that got me to where I was. So you'll have to get the book to get the whole backstory, but I'll start. I basically was in a mind state of wanting to be in a relationship, not wanting to sin, wanting to be in a kingdom ordained relationship, right? So I was begging God. I'm a dreamer, so I have prophetic dreams a lot. I've been having dreams since I was a kid, and I beg God to like take that dream away from me, because I would see people about to die and then they die. I would see events about to happen and it happened. So I didn't know how to use that gift or honor it at such a young age, especially growing up really religious. Nobody was really talking to me about spiritual gifts and how to cultivate and use them. So I opened myself up to a lot of different portals because I was trying to understand spirituality from a sense. So I would go to psychics, I would do all type of weird stuff because I was just like, well, I'm a psychic because I know when things are about to happen. So let me talk to other psychics and stuff like that. So I don't even know why I brought that up.
Wait.
Oh,
That's good.
okay.
So
So
that's good that you brought that up.
I was begging God to show me my husband in a dream, because I was just in a season where I felt like God was telling me, that's I started reading Proverbs 31, and then I'm a wife. I'm ready to be a wife. I'm ready to work towards becoming a Proverbs 31 wife. So I started asking God to show me my husband, show me my husband, show me my husband. So I had a dream where I saw a man who was a minister, like everything I wanted. Right, his mom had just died. He was going through some stuff, and so after I had said that prayer, I had this dream. So I automatically assumed this was my husband. Had his first and last name, everything, right? And so right after that, I had two prophecies confirm that I was getting married very soon. So at that point in time, I'm just not even preparing. I'm just being anxious. I'm asking God every day, where he at? Like, where he at? Where he at? What he doing? Why he ain't found me yet? Instead of actively preparing to become a wife, mentally, spiritually, physically. Like, we don't talk enough about that, right? We just say wait till you get married to have sex, and then that's it. But nobody talks about what do you do for that wait. Like, well, how do you prepare? So I ended up a year later meeting the man that I had in my dream. His name wasn't, his initials were the same, but it wasn't the same name. And I thought he was my husband. I was like, oh, that's it. Like, that's the one. And as we journeyed in a season together, it very well quickly turned out that wasn't my husband. But everybody I was talking to, I would tell them like I had this dream, I met him, but here are the circumstances. Because for one, he was homeless, he was verbally abusive. I was basically using my own money for us to go on dates. Like, it wasn't an even or balanced relationship. I didn't know what a healthy relationship consisted of anyway. And like the major thing for me was that he was a minister, but he was smoking and drinking. And but as women, we think we can pray or fix men. So I'm like, okay, he's just going through a rough season because in my dream I already knew his mom had died. So when I met him, his mom had just died, and so I'm like, he's just going through a rough season right now. So we can pray about that. That's not gonna be a deal breaker. So the deal breaker for me was that it wasn't the verbal abuse, like, because that was wild. And it was the fact that he had told me he didn't believe women could be preachers. And I felt strongly at that time, and I still feel like God has a call for me to do something in ministry. But he was just like, women can't be preachers, and you can't prophesy, you can't minister. Like, women are supposed to be seen, not heard. And I said, yo, like, what is this religious spirit on you? Like, I already knew, like, my husband was going to be something very different from what I saw growing up. So that was kind of like a clear indicator for me that he wasn't my husband, or he needed, like, I was confused. Like, do he need deliverance, or do I need to lead, or do I need deliverance? So everybody I'm consulting at the time is telling me this is my husband. You seen it in the dream? That's how it worked for me. That's my, like, so it was just like, okay, what do I do? And instead of really going to God and fasting and praying about it, I just was coasting. Like, I had an inner turmoil about being with him, because the stuff that was happening, just, I was like, I don't think I would want to be married to him. So I went to a church. I had another dream. Like, after this whole ordeal, God finally spoke to me through a dream and was like, if he is a man of God, why is he treating you like this? So that was kind of like loud and clear for me to be like, okay, this is not it. But it wasn't enough for me to, like, because I had invested so much time and energy to me at that point in time. Like, it was a whole summer. I was kind of like, I wouldn't say a soul tie, but I was really, like, attached to him. So especially when women, when we think a man is our husband, it's like we just
that's a soul tie.
So I heard God say, no, that ain't the one. So it was like maybe a month later when I visited my friend's church, and she was like, her mom had prophesied, like, oh, it's something that you're wrestling with in your spirit. And she said, God said, if it doesn't align with his word, then that's not it. So that was like the second no I heard loud and clear, because I knew exactly what she was talking about, because I was really.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you. So you had some red flags.
Oh, that was a circus. I saw all the red flags. Like, he cut me out.
She said it was a circus, y'all. She said she seen the red flags. So women understand that the red flags will come, but we ignore the red flags. I've been there. We ignore them because you thought that maybe. Let's carry on. Go ahead, Renisha.
I will fix it. All right. So this isn't my husband. This is counterfeit one. So, and what I'm saying is, just to reiterate, that just because you miss one counterfeit doesn't mean the real one is coming right after. So, so after that service at church, I'm like, okay, I gotta let him go. But I still was conflicted. Like, I didn't want to wholeheartedly walk away from him. So, I think he owed me like $50 because for whatever reason. So something was like, I'm not gonna say it was the Holy Spirit. Something, it might have just been me being petty, had said, call him and ask him for your money back. Like, tell him that it's time for him to pay you back. This man cussed me out from the east side of Detroit to Joy Road. Like, he just cussed me out like an hour. Like, I would hang up, he'd call me back, cuss me out some more. Like, and I was just like, over $50? Like, you cussing me out like this for $50? So I was just like, yo, this was like, that was this it for me. So I was like, I'm done. I ain't going back. But even after this, me trying to be empathetic was like, well, I really understand he's going through a lot right now. So I'm going to excuse this behavior, right? So he actually lived around the corner from where I was working at the time. So, like, my routine was go to work, get off work, go see him. So this became a habit, a lifestyle after 90 days. So it was just habit for me to like, your mind is just kind of like on a routine. I'm pulling out, about to go to his house. And then a song on the radio comes on, and the Saints might be mad at me, but I feel like God talks to me through ratchet music sometimes. So a song by Little Donald, Do Better, comes on. And the lyrics was like, he don't deserve you, girl. You can do better. And I was like, oh, God, you're talking to me. So I just hurried up and hit a U-turn, like, and never looked back and never contacted him again. Like, I was done with him, right? So now I'm free from this counterfeit. All right. So everybody's saying once you identify one counterfeit, my husband must be around the corner, right? He must
Well, let me interject right there, Renisha. When we say counterfeit, when I say counterfeit, it is you continue to have the counterfeits because you haven't recognized who you were and haven't been healed yet. What happens is we date in cycles because we have an issue that has not been dealt with. And when there is an issue, so basically what you said, when there is an issue that has not been dealt with, we seek after the same type, because if we were totally healed and listening, we will be able to decipher if he's real or if he's not. So you can get a whole bunch of counterfeits before the real one comes. It's not that you get a counterfeit and then my they say my Boaz has arrived. No, baby, you're gonna keep getting them until that time comes where you're ready, like you said, become a wife, and you're ready. And when you ain't even thinking about them, that's when they come. I'm sorry, I just have to interject with that real quick. Go ahead, Renisha.
And that's my whole point. But we live in a day and age where everybody is appointing themselves to titles and positions and spewing out information without the depth. And it
Mm-hmm.
can easily mislead women, like women who are millennial, haven't been married, don't have kids. They can borderline be desperate for a word and desperate for a man or even a promise, right? Because God very well could have promised me to be a wife, but it's not up to me to put it in my hands and make it come to pass. Like, I'm not Sarah and Abraham. So we can't manipulate God into giving us what we want. And that's something I had to learn. And I'm glad I'm able to sit here and tell people that, because I was lost in the sauce. So after this counterfeit,
Wait a minute. Let me just ask you this. I want to break this down a little bit. So you were lost in the sauce because of what? What made you? Where were you when you
good.
kept selecting these men? Where were you? Where was your spirit at? Where
Yeah.
was your mental at? Come on, tell us, where were you at when you kept,
So
accepting these kind of men into your
bottom
life? Come on.
of the barrel. Um, Honestly, hey queens, hey evangelists. So honestly, I was in a dark space. I moved to California. So like I said, just a brief synopsis of my life. Men and women want positions without even being equipped with what they need. Positions without the process. That's deep. I grew up in church. I was born in a church. My family has a church on the east side of Detroit. So I was at church Monday, Tuesday, through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I lived a very sheltered life. So I couldn't even talk to boys on the phone until I was 18. Like, I was 16 sneaking. So when I went to college, I just kind of balls to the wall, went a little haywire wild because
Mm-hmm.
I had a newfound freedom. I went to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. It is the number one school in the country, but I was very much depressed because I always wanted to go to a historically Black college because I'm very much pro-Black, Huey P. Newton, and this is a predominantly white institution. So it was a culture shock because I'm from Detroit, predominantly Black city. So it was very low, first generation, low economic status. So it was just very different. So I was very depressed, not focused. I ended up dropping out and I went to California. While I was in California, I actually moved to California for a boy. Because he told me if we lived in the same city, we would be together. And in my broken mind, I said, okay, well, I'm gonna pick up myself and move to California. And that went left because It was never gonna work. And I ended up getting into a horrible relationship that really brought me to my knees to Christ, because that whole time, from 18 to 24, I was running. Like, I would tell people, like, because I was dibbling and dabbling in the music industry. So, but all along, I knew I would be in the Christian world somehow. Like,
Mhm.
I knew I would be back in the church. So I'll be
Mhm.
like, I know God calling me, but I ain't answering right now. I
You
gotta
ain't
go.
ready. Yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
like, I'm doing me. Like, he was calling. I'm like, I'm gonna talk to you later. So, and I would tell people that, like, I know this isn't for me, but, and people would be like, girl, you don't even belong here. Like, people would tell me that all the time. Like, if I was at a club or at a party, they'd be like, what are you doing? Like, you don't fit in. So, I ended up moving to California, met this man who happened to be a warlock. I know the church don't talk about stuff like this, but I dated a warlock, and I did not even know. Like, the Holy Spirit came to me while I was laying in bed with him. Was like, he's a warlock, and I had to Google, like, what's a warlock. So this man was gearing up to, and it's crazy because it's like every guy I get with that's serious or that I like, they be on some real wicked stuff. Like,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Y'all, I need y'all to tag and share. This is good stuff. We're talking about from where she was mentally, spiritually, dating these different kind of men, to her dating a warlock and didn't know it, but God showed her he was a warlock. This is deep. I need for y'all to tag and share. Tag and share. Tag and share. Go ahead, beautiful.
yes, I never really shared this story, but that story in itself is deep. So yeah, he was gearing up to sacrifice me to Satan. I had no clue. I ended up coming home, and my cousin basically was like, you got to leave him alone. Like, she was praying for me. She told me to start fasting. And once I started, this is when I really started to heed. Like, I had this spiritual gift. Like, I could see things, I could hear things, I had dreams. But this was the first time I started to actually try to know who God was for myself, not based on what I knew growing up, not based on what anybody else was telling me. I started to read the Bible. Because when I was in California, I think I want to say 3 to 6 psychics approached me when I was in California on their own recompense. They were seeking me out to tell me I had a curse on my love life. So that was the whole thing around, is this curse on my love life. That's why I can never find a man. Not knowing it's a generational curse, because the women in my life or in my family have never seen a healthy relationship, have all been
Mhm.
abused and
This is
misused.
so good.
So they were saying the right thing, but they was just using a different medium. So me, lost in the sauce, because I wasn't walking with God. Like, I knew I fear him for sure. Like, if something go wrong, we gonna call on the Lord. But I was not living in reverence to God. So when
Mhm.
they would come and tell me it's a curse in your love life, I'm like, okay. They'd be like, okay, pay us 300, we'll get it off. So it was this one time I started the whole process with the psychic lady to remove this curse, and I'm just like, this ain't gonna work. I'm burning sage. I'm lighting candles. I'm like, it don't feel right. Like, and so that whole time, so in the midst of that, I meet this man again, another counterfeit, and he sound good. I'm not gonna say he sound like the real thing, because he was already off. But it was the red flags I was ignoring, right? Like, he sounded good enough. Right?
Right, right. You sound good enough.
He sounded good enough. And
But
um
let me ask you this. How did you know that the other guy was going to sacrifice you? How did you know he was preparing to sacrifice you?
I'll get to that. This is the same guy.
Same
So
guy. Okay. Okay.
yeah, California warlock. Let me not even. Lord Jesus, protect me in the name of Jesus. So yeah, so basically, get involved with him. The psychics are basically coaching me, because I feel like it's not right. I have that feeling like he's about to leave. I'm having dreams that he's cheating, but I want him so bad, and that's why I tell women, be careful with desperation,
Mm.
because you go into witchcraft. I wanted him so bad. I'm paying psychics to give me remedies and rituals to stay with this man. The lady got so deep to where she was like, okay, you bring me something of his, I can manipulate him and he'll be in love with you. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm playing with my own spirit in life. I'm not about to play with somebody else's. So I ended up going home for like a weekend. That's when my cousin, she's a prophet. She started prophesying and telling me I need to pray and cleanse myself. So once I get back to California, I'm trying to, now this is a real soul tie because, we were exchanging DNA. So I have a real life soul tie with this man.
You were intimate with him.
On top of the spiritual stuff that he was doing. So that's another thing people don't talk about. Like, people, you have to be very careful who you entertain because you never know what they dibbling and dabbling in, especially if you're not walking with God. So he basically doing love spells on me. I don't know. And then, we're being intimate. So that's like, so what I was, because I don't know what else he was doing.
Let me stop you right there real quick. I'm sorry. It's so good. I just have to interject. When she talk about love spells, let me let y'all know that there's real. It's real because it was done to me. So that is real and it can be done to you. So understand that you have to be careful when you are dating men these days. Okay, because they can put a spell on you and you won't have a clue. Let's talk about it. Come on, Renisha.
When you're having sex with them. So because that's when people be thinking you just so crazy and dick. I'm sorry, not to be cussing on your platform. Just so crazy in love with somebody. You never know. So anyway, so once I started praying and fasting, God started to reveal to me what he was doing. So I would see him writing my name on papers and burning it. I would see him like just doing weird stuff in my dreams. And I'm like, whoa. So that even ramped me up more in the spirit to start praying against everything he was doing to me. Because I was about to, God had already, so mind you, I told you I had ended up dropping out of school. I had owed $6,500 to my school. So I couldn't afford to pay it. And when I went to California, this white man told me he didn't respect, he was the director of a program that I was interning for. He told me he didn't respect me because I was a Black woman without a degree. And that, because up until like I was out of school for like 2 years, and everybody was like, go back to school, go back to school. I was like, I'm good with school. Like, I'm about to go be in the music entertainment industry. I don't need a job. Like, I was just kind of there. Like, I don't need an education. But when he told me that was like the battery placed in my back to make me like, okay. So I had prayed to God because I started going to this Bible study when I was in LA. Shout out to Matu. She was very instrumental in strengthening my faith during that time. So I was going to Bible study. And this is the crazy thing, right? Because I'm going to Bible study and I'm going to psychics at the same time. This is how lost
Church folks do that. Church folks do that. Go ahead.
Exactly. So you can be walking, down the same line. So I prayed to God during this one of the Bible studies. She was like, what's your prayer request? I said, I just want to go back to school and not have to pay this money. Literally fast forward one day, God said, call my school, ask them, can I come back? They said, oh, we don't know what happened, but the $6,500 has been cleared. You can come back. Right. So the path is opening up for me to go back to school. But then I meet a counterfeit to make me think that I need to stay in LA because he's telling me, oh, you can stay here. I'll help. Because I had a blog, I had a showcase that was really popular at the time. This was 10 years ago. Things have changed. But so he was like, you can stay here. I have entertainment connections. Like, you don't have to pay any bills. We can get married. So I'm like, okay, that sounds good. I'm 23, 24 at the time. So he's way older than me. So I'm like, okay, cool. But I wasn't really before I had recommitted myself, I wasn't gung-ho on being a wife. Like, I just wanted to be in a relationship, right? So I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, we can do all of that. And then it was like, God was like, girl, go home. Girl, go home. I'm like, no, I want to stay in LA. So that was a little contention for me. So when I started praying and fasting, things just cleared up. And I was like, I got to go back home. And so I came back home and I still had, I had shame attached to me. I had the brokenness, rejection. I had all of this stuff as I'm walking into my new life because I resubmitted. Like, and California changed my life. Like, I'm very grateful for the man who told me to move there, even though it was like had nothing to do with him. God used him to get me to closer to God. So
Mhm.
I was on my knees. I said, God, I surrender, because I really felt like my life was in danger when I was dealing with this man. But I didn't see what was being hidden from me, that he was about to sacrifice my life, or, my soul. So fast forward, I meet this group of praying women. They were called the Warrior Daughters at the time, and they're praying for me like heavy. They're interceding for me so I can heal and, just be stripped of all the stuff I had been through up until that point. And so one of them prophesied and was like, they was getting ready to sacrifice you. And that shook me to my core, because I was about to stay and be with him. And I didn't even know that this man was about to do whatever he was going to do. I still don't know the depths of that type of satanic
Right.
stuff. Like, I don't
Right.
deal with it. But that just shook me to my core. But even after that, that's how strong soul ties are. Even after that, even when I came back from home, I was fasting and praying still. As soon as I let up a little bit and didn't fast and pray, I'm back at school. I feel this man summoning me in the spirit realm, and I'm fighting it. Like, I don't want to talk to him. I don't got nothing to say to him. It's to the point where I see him in my apartment in the spirit, and he's like watching me. And I'm like, yo, let me just call him to see, what do you want?
He projected himself there. Uh-huh. Go ahead. Come on, let's go.
So I call him, and the first thing he says is, oh, I've been thinking about you, and you left some stuff in my apartment, so I just been rubbing it and meditating about you. Said,
Oh, Holy Ghost.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, them soul ties be strong, but I have not seen him, talk to him in a minute. And that's why I'm like, I don't even want to keep talking about him, because I don't want to speak him up. So move on. That's California. So that's what got me here. So, right, I went through all of this, like, because even between 18 and 24, slew of broken relationships, rejection, hot mess. Have to get my book to know what that is. I get here, I transform, I change my life, I'm resubmitted to God. I'm leading a Bible study on my campus called Women of Proverbs. That's how I'm learning more about Proverbs 31. I'm walking in my purpose, it feels like. And I feel like God is telling me I'm going to go to the School of Social Work to get my master's. That was like my childhood dream, to get a master's in social work with kids. I apply, I don't get it, I have to go back home. So now I feel like a loser. And I feel like God lied to me. And it's so sad that God doesn't do one thing that we think he should do, and then we just cut off communication. So now I'm not even talking to him for real. Like, and this is what really put me in my situation. So I'm mad at God, because you told me to apply to the School of Social Work and they rejected me, embarrassed me at the interview. And now I'm sitting here with a whole degree from the University of Michigan, making $12 an hour. What is going on? Right. So I'm just like, what did I do? What happened? Like, I thought we
Mhm.
were here.
Uh-huh.
So, I started working at this job, and I had a dream, so I knew I was supposed to be at that job. It was working with kids who were abused and neglected. And so I just wasn't happy. Like, I just started to backslide, like doing things that I had stopped doing, once I had resubmitted myself. And that's why community is so important and accountability is so important. So I was at the job, started drinking and partying again and just working, not going to church, not praying for real. But there was still that desire and that promise that God had told me, like, that to be married. So I'm just kind of in like a limbo phase, so to speak. And now I'm having issues at home with my family. So now I'm just lonely, afraid, and desperate. And then I meet this guy who I saw in a dream after I praised God and begged him to show me my husband, who again was not it. So a guy again, what is going on? Like, what did I do to you? Why you being weird to me? So all of that to say, I'm kind of like me and God at odds. So after I get done with the counterfeit that was in Detroit, that was the pastor that was cussing me out, and I leave him alone. I hear, I go back to that rhetoric after. That's what everybody's saying. Well, after that one counterfeit, God gonna send you the real one. Okay, so I download a dating app because I'm trying to get over this hurt that I'm trying to get over the hurt instead of healing. And I'm so grateful for platforms like this because at this, like in 2018, podcast wasn't out here. Women was not talking to other Christian women about things like this. We had Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B and the City Girls telling us City Girls. They was telling us to sit down and heal. So I download the app and I see a man who he said he looking for a wife. And I'm low key, I know I'm not ready, but that's what I want. That sounds good after all of this little devastation I done went through. Yeah, okay. So I set up a date with him. His bio was I'm a Christian and the woman I have to be with, she has to be a Christian. That's first priority. Okay, that's different. I'm so close to God. Okay, cool. So we go out to eat, and within 30 minutes of us meeting, he says, God says you're my wife. How long is it going to take you to get married? I mean, how long is it going to take you to get ready to be married? So to me, I'm like, I know I'm not ready, but I mean, now. No, I can be married now. So I left this first date engaged. And he's Nigerian. So everybody I'm telling this to is saying, yo, this is what they do. They commit marriage fraud. He could be married in Africa. He could be using you for papers. Like, don't do it. But in my mind, I'm just like, the red flags, I don't see them. I'm legally blind. Like, he sounds, if this was a counterfeit, this was a counterfeit. He pray. He prophesied. He's speaking in tongues. He has prophetic dreams. I not knowing the people that is advising him are witch doctors. Not knowing this man is in the occult, and this is how he can.
Let's stop right here because we getting to the part where she got married. But I want to say something here. I want to say this because it's very important. You see her talk about the stages that she was in, and every stage she was in, she still was not healed. She still was not healed from the trauma, from the past thing that has happened to her, maybe things from her bloodline. She was not healed from. She desired a mate, but she still didn't wait. She seen the red flags before with the other ones, but she still went ahead because she wanted love. She wanted someone. Even she talked about how it's important to have accountability in community. So when you're feeling bad, it's not for you to run into a hole and hide. When you don't feel good, when you feel that God has left you, it is not for you to run into a place and hide. God left me. She felt like God left her because he didn't come through when she thought he was supposed to come through for her. So what she did was she went back out into the world, probably got worse than what she was, and was desperate. So now here comes Mr. Good Looking. Here comes Mr. Prophetic, prophet, have dreams. He's a man of God. He is, listen, I say he's a man of God. He was having dreams. He was prophesying, prophesying. He was whatever else you say. It looks like the real thing to her. Even though she met him on a dating app and got engaged, she thought this was the real thing because all the check box, she checked all her boxes, and she felt like, oh, well, he looks like he's prophesying. He said he wanted to be married. He said he wanted a woman of God. That's me. Lord, you done showed up right here. Oh my God, Lord, you came in right in the nick of time. Listen, let us help you tonight. Come on, Renisha.
It was like, oh God, you didn't forget about me. You didn't forget. So after all this travesty I'm going through, I finally get my knight in shining armor. That was the furthest thing from the truth. And despite everybody telling me not to do it, I did it. And nobody could tell me nothing about him. Like, not my mama, not my daddy, not my pastor, nobody. We eloped. because I just knew nobody was gonna understand. And at that time, I don't know if his people was doing something, but when I would look up, you know, what is it like being married to Nigerian, I never even came across marriage fraud or marriage like
Oh, wait a
romance.
minute. Let me just say this real quick. I lived in New York for over 20 years. This is what they do. This is what they do. They marry to get papers and all that kind of stuff. They marry. This is what they do. They do it because they want something. They're married, and so what you're saying is true. Married, they do it all day long in New York City. Go ahead, Renisha.
Yeah, so I didn't know, right? And I didn't see, like, we got TikTok now where women are coming out and sharing a story about being
Mhm.
a victim of marriage fraud. But in 2018, I just couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, well, everybody just saying they're a little controlling and they want to be leaders. All right, we can deal with that. I can be a submissive wife. And we eloped, and for the first 2 years, I'm not gonna say it wasn't rough, but I thought that I had to, and this is why I'm such an advocate for Black women, because we have to change these narratives. I thought I had to suffer for love. I thought I had to be a ride or die. I thought I had to hold my man down, and that's what it costs to be a wife, to be a godly wife. On top of that, so
Come
um,
on, talk about it.
and he literally tricked me because so he's a doctor. He's a doctor in Africa, right? And so he has to, when you come over from a different country to practice in America, you have to go through a recertification process in order to practice here. So the timeline he gave me versus the timeline that it took was two different timelines. But I'm already bought into this dream, right? Like I'm doing this for our family. Like he's telling me he's going to change the financial trajectory of my life. I'm about to marry a doctor. Nobody in my family is a doctor, and ain't nobody marry rich. So okay, I'll work a couple years for that payoff and
Mhm.
so his brother had came over first and was already in residency and had married an American girl. She was from New York, right? I'm having second thoughts about this man because I'm like, I knew deep down inside something wasn't right. It was, that still voice that says, mm-mm.
Mhm.
I'm quieting it down on top of whatever they was doing to put the shield over my eyes. But I knew deep down that these people's were witches. I knew.
Mhm.
I'm trying to tell you, I've come into a lot, and this is weird. I come into a contact with warlocks on so many different levels. Like these men try to be with me, and I will always escape. But I married this one. And so I knew it's something eerily familiar. Like his brother had said, yeah, come and join us. Like, and when he said that to me, I said, whenever somebody say come and join us, it'd be like an invitation to the Illuminati. I was like this one person because I was talking to a guy that was real weird before, and he had said like both my ex that was in California and another guy was like, "Oh, we're waiting for you. We want you to join us." And I'm like, "Who is we? Who is we?" So I just feel like these people have been recruiting me like that. I don't know, but I'm sold out for God. Like, mm-mm. So they had his wife, he had his brother's wife get on the phone and she sold me. And I'm like, okay, of course, another African American woman from America ain't gonna set me up. She was
Right.
like, you will be stupid not to marry them. I married his brother and we got this many businesses and I'm so in love and yada, yada, yada. Turns out she was lying. Like I caught that girl last year when everything hit the fan. I said, why did you lie to me? She was like, oh, I was just hoping it would be better for you. I said, girl, why would you want somebody else to have this type of lifestyle? So after her testimony, I married him. And I had to pick up all the slack. So I had to work 2 or 3 jobs to provide for our family. I got my family involved. My family, I'm still borrowing money from my family. we had supported him to get, the papers, his all of these fees. Like, this is more than just he was married in another country. This is like, this Negro really came and financially abused me and my family.
So
Like,
wait, the man that you married was
mm-hmm.
already married in another country. So
Yes,
he came to the United States of America. He got with you and he said he had to recertify. So he used you for money and you were doing the work and while he was in school and you were supporting him and your family,
I
paying
was
for him
supporting
fees.
him while he was supporting his wife. Okay, I
Wait
found
a
this.
minute. You were supporting him and he was supporting
I
his
found a
wife.
secret account that had 10K US dollars. So, yes, while I was up here, and mind you, I ended up getting sick within the first 6 months of us being together. And I was bleeding for months at a time, and no doctor could tell me why I was bleeding. And mind you, I'm in love. I trust him. Like, this man is up praying at 2 a.m. in the morning. He's fasting every day. I don't think nothing of it, but I had to
Praying to who?
go back.
Praying to and fasting to who? Come on here.
Let me go back.
Woo, Jesus.
I'm not going to sit up here and say I didn't know. I chose to be a willing participant in this circus. So once we got married, we had went on because I was poor. I was making like $17,000. He should have got somebody that had some money. I don't know why they chose me, but they should have got somebody who had some money because I was broke. I was making what, $15 an hour. So we go, my friend at the time, she used to gamble. So we got these little cards to go to like a casino, hotel, or whatever. I set up the hotel all nice and lovely. Like, this is my man, it's my wedding night. Cause I'm just like, yep, this is it. I heard the Holy Spirit say loud and clear, he was not the one. He's like, this is not the one. It shook me to my core. Like, the way I heard it so loud and clear. And I'm like, oh goodness, I gotta divorce him. Like, I'm not about to be with him. Like, who is this? So the next day, because now I'm just kind of rattled in my spirit. Yes. So I get a text message the next day, literally, from my brother. Now, mind you, I didn't tell nobody in my family I was married. My brother tells me he has a dream that we were at my wedding in Africa, and at the table it was me and my husband, but my husband had a head of a lion and I had the head of a deer. He's like, this is a predator prey relationship, and he's a warlock. Now, my brother at the time was going through some things. So I'm just like, I don't know if I can trust what he's saying, even though in my spirit, I'm like, God already said he wasn't the one. So I run to somebody else. And this is what I want to get across to people too. When you get a word from anybody, even from your own spirit, take it back to God. Don't take it to nobody else. You don't have to go to preachers and prophets all the time. Like, learn to cultivate hearing God for yourself. Because when he closed the mouths of preachers and prophets, that's all you're gonna have.
Come on.
Unless you're gonna go back and
Yesterday.
and crystals. So to maintain your salvation, learn how to hear God for yourself. So I went to a lady who used to, I have to clear that up because in my video, people get it confused. She used to dabble in witchcraft, then she changed her life and resubmitted to God. So I go to her, I say, I married this man. My brother is saying he is a warlock. I don't know what to do. Do I divorce him? Do I stay? She was like, God, I want to talk to you yourself. I'm like, okay, but at this now, mind you, y'all, I'm not talking to God. Like, me and God still, I done married this man. Me and God still not back like how we was because of all that hurt and trauma that I incurred, and I was blaming him for it. Mm-hmm. So I fake prayed to God when I wanted to marry him, and I didn't wait for an answer. Like, me and my husband was supposed to fast. This is another sign, a red flag. When he said he wanted to marry me, I was like, let's fast. Because, he said he was a Christian. I was like, let's pray and fast about it. I could not pray and fast for one day without like this intrusive thought in my mind. This is where when y'all be acting obsessed over men, y'all need to make sure they're not doing nothing crazy to you. I could not stop. Something was like, go see him, 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 go see him.
And you was fasting.
And we had made up in our mind that we was not going to talk to each other for the whole 7 days. Right? So now my emotion and whatever else manipulation they doing, I gotta go see him because I'm just so in love at this point. So he says out of his mouth, if somebody ever say this to y'all, run. Don't play with these witches. It ain't worth it. He said, oh, me and my brother was praying that you would come over here today. Why would y'all be praying that when we just said we wasn't going to see each other for 7 days and we was praying and fasting for this? Why would y'all interfering? So the fast and praying went out the window. We didn't fast and pray no more about this. It was just like, okay, this is what we're doing. So after that, after I talked to the lady, me and her start fasting and praying. I, with my big mouth self, tell my husband at the time what my brother's dream was, which I shouldn't have did. And I told him I was about to start fasting and praying to see if God wanted me to be with him or not. So I don't know why my daddy is calling me.
I hope y'all hear what she's saying. She's talking about all these. You can just see and hear all these red flags. But what happens? We as women get so emotional. We want what we want and we don't want to wait. We feel like it's right and I can fix him. I can change him. If I can just be with him, it'll get better. No, it's not. It's going to magnify when you get married. Whatever happens in the beginning of the relationship, in the friendship, whatever it is, when you get married, what happened? It magnifies. Okay? So I hope that y'all are listening and understanding that just because he fine, he look good, he act like it's like he's saying the right things, walking and all this kind of stuff. You got to pray and make sure that he is for you. He is who God has called to be head over you. He will be the head of the house. Come on. Come on, Renisha. Renisha looks like she's texting her daddy. Go ahead, Renisha.
Sorry. Just give me 1 second. It's an emergency.
So to me, it seems like prayer is key, right? It seems like what we as women have to make sure that we are solely healed, delivered from our past, from the issues that we deal with, from hurt relationships. We've been in relationships, marriages, and we were hurt, we were broken, all of that stuff happened, but we have to make sure that we find healing and we get delivered from our past, that we do not pull that into our future, that we do not pull it into the next, because that will help us decide if he is for us or not. You know, if you're not healed, then that unhealed person is going to pick another individual that's broken, that's not healed, that's messed up, like she continued to do until she recognized and she's seen all the signs. I see women all the time. They want a man so bad that they will allow themselves to deal with a certain issue of a male, what he can do for them, what he got. You will deal with it. You will stay in it. You will stay stuck to the relationship. He tell you he'll marry you in 5 years. You still staying. You crazy. That's one. You crazy. Two, if he anything that she is saying, and half the time you won't even know they're a warlock if you're not in tune. Come on, Renisha.
Or a narcissist, because that's common too.
Or a narcissist. Come on.
So, because I'm not gonna say the man. I think he had a warlock attached to him, because like he changed completely. I will say he's a narcissist for sure. Because you got to be a narcissist to be able to manipulate it.
That's still horrible having a narcissist as a husband. Trust me.
Child. So
let's go.
I pray 7 days. I just found out like last year after all of the stuff came out that they was really manipulating. They was manipulating me from day one. And when I say they, his family, his friends, his spiritual advisors, they were all in on this together. It literally is a movie, a characters, plots. Like they had a plan for me in my life, but God was letting them do whatever they wanted to do until it was time up. And me, I'm a sheep. I don't know nothing. Because literally, my dreams, like they were manipulating my dreams, right? Because you would think, oh, she said she a dreamer. Why didn't she see this coming? The most that I would have, like I would have two types of dreams. I would have dreams of me and him and our kids, right? Like, and he would tell me, oh, I had a dream that I bought you this and we were so happy here. So I'm like buying into this. Like, it's spiritual manipulation. Like, I'm buying into this. Like, okay, well, you having dreams, I'm having dreams, and that's so weird. We having the same type of dreams. Okay, cool. Like, I never was with a spiritual man before, like one that was appearing to be godly, right? So the other dreams that I had, I would have dreams of another man. Like it would be a man that would come into my dream and play hide and seek with me. And my heart would, I would just feel love, safe, secure. And it would be like when I would wake up, I would be so mad. Like, where's this man at? Like, and that would let me know, like, I'm not happy in this relationship. But I kept telling myself, oh, it's going to get better because he's studying. He's not attentive to me. We're not connecting on any level. I'm at work. I'm sick. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I'm doing all of this because I'm thinking that my future is at stake, right? Because once he gets to be a doctor, we're set. So I just need to get him to be a doctor, right? And as women, as young women, don't ever put your life on hold to help a man get to his dream. Cause where I'm at, I'm right here. I still gotta build my own dream with no help. I literally for 3 years took all my energy into somebody else's dream. And I'm not saying because I know like when you get married, you're supposed to like submit to your husband. Just be prayerful. Be
Right. If you get the right one, then it works out. But if you
exactly.
fall with the wrong one, then it turns out not good. Go ahead, Renisha. Let me,
So So, after the fasting and praying with the lady, she basically was telling me every day I was talking to her, she was like, girl, I had a dream that they put a mandala on you, like a monitoring spirit, because him and his brother had bought me some necklaces, some fake little cheap jewelry. She was like, yeah, she was like, it's some type of witchcraft device that they're using to monitor you. And she was like, "Oh, he does water witching." Like, she talking about
oh,
stuff I don't even know, right? And I'm like, he a witch? I'm like, I see this man pray every day. Like, he
wait
praying
a
more
minute.
than
I'm sorry, y'all. We definitely going over an hour for this. But the
oh,
reason why is because she's talking about everything that is so important. Water, spirits. This stuff is very important. The church don't talk about this stuff. The church don't talk about warlocks and witches. The church don't talk about all these curses and spells. They don't talk about it, but it is real. I want y'all to understand that women, please understand. There was a spell that was put on me. Listen, please understand. Renisha is telling you what happened to her. It could happen to you if you are anxious
careful.
and
Yeah.
you're not prayerful. If you are anxious, if you are around the wrong individuals, trust me, you are not exempt if you're not close to God. Meaning you can't, when you in tune with the Father, you're gonna have discernment. You're gonna key up. This is where you have to be in this time. Come on, Renisha.
Right. So every day, and so I'm having different dreams. Like my dreams and this lady dream two different dreams. She was dreaming the real stuff. I'm dreaming some other stuff that they put in my sleep. So I don't know if he was poisoning me through my food. I don't know the details. Like I one day maybe God will tell me how it all went down, but I really don't care to know. So at the end of this fast, I hear a loud voice. I'm not gonna say it was God, but a loud voice that says, "Serve your husband." So I took that as serve, like submit. and just walk away from this whole idea of him being a witch. I
Hmm.
really feel like it should have been served him some papers and got on. But I took it as, okay, he not a warlock, he not a witch. We gonna keep it moving. So, the stuff that they was doing to me produced me to have this illness where I was bleeding for 3 to 4 months. So I'm always tired. I'm sick. I'm going through. Not only am I going through this abuse at home, but I'm also being abused at work. So it's just a lot of things in my life that I'm just not happy about. And I'm at this job because I have to provide, I'm the sole provider for my family. Um, and he can't give me the emotional love, like, and mental security or availability because he's studying, right? But and I would
Hmm.
tell people this because they would be like, "Oh, I was single, married. I would be going out by myself, going to the movies, going to dinner, and going to events." And they would be like, "Well, where's your husband?" At home studying. They'll be like, "He always at home studying. Like he ain't never got no time for you." So then I just stopped talking about it because it's just like, okay, like he's doing this for us, right? Like this is what he got to do. Like these exams are really hard. He wants to score high. So after we go through the whole testing to get into medical school, we go through the whole ordeal at the immigration to get his green papers. He's literally not causing a stir, because I'm not gonna say he was innocent. Like he just was preoccupied, right? And he did enough to not make me feel like I don't want to be with him. It was just enough. Like he would do just enough to like basically he was breadcrumbing me, like just until we get here, then you got me, right? Just until we get here, then you got me. So he's leading me on. So I'm like, okay, I'm counting down the days. All right, well, you're done with studying. So when he gets done with studying, he's still not talking to me. He on the phone at 6 a.m. in the morning talking to his wife. He outside the house. Like he don't got a job still. So I'm like, wow, you don't work and you're not studying and you still not making time for me. Like, what's up with that? Oh, I'm just going through a lot. Like it was always an excuse. So then after the green papers, after he get his green card, he real bold. Like now I'm hearing him on the phone telling, I love you so much. I miss you. Who is you talking to? So I'm just like, okay, I'm still trying to fight for my marriage, be understanding. It came, so that was like October, November, December of 2020. This January 2021, I finally have a dream where he's getting married to a Nigerian woman because they have traditional garb, and it's a fat lady with this pot. She's stirring the pot, and he's looking at me. He gives me some water, but he's so in love with this other girl, and I'm just like, wow, he don't look at me like that. He don't talk to me like that. Like he don't do none of that with me. So I'm just looking like, is this man about to get married behind my back? So I don't say nothing. The girl picture, this how clear, like I was having scenic movies. Her picture props up on my people you may know on Facebook. I said, oh, I know her. He said this was somebody he used to work with. So what is going on? So now I'm just sitting back watching. And now he's on the phone talking to people. So now I'm going through phones. Now I'm going through emails. Like I'm looking now because he's lying to me, and I'm having dreams. I'm having scenic dreams of what he's texting to women, what they're texting him. He's sexting. He getting naked pictures, sending naked pictures. I'm
So he
seeing
was so he had a wife and he was talking to other women.
oh yes. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, he had two wives. He had me, he had her, he had girlfriends. He had a lot going on. Because mind you, he didn't do nothing. So I think for 2 years, like he was not himself because he had to focus on
Hmm.
studying and stuff. So I
Hmm.
think this was the real person. The mask came off when he
Right.
got what he needed. So I'm having dreams, I'm seeing stuff, and it's really disturbing me. So now I'm on a chase. I'm praying. I'm like, God, like Holy Spirit was unlocking stuff because I didn't have passcodes. So I'm like, God, whatever you want me to see, reveal it. Unlock this. Let me get into this computer. I'm opening the computer. I'm seeing naked pictures. I'm seeing emails. I'm seeing all he's sending names to the witch doctor that he claimed was his pastor. She a priest, a high priestess. I'm like, what are you doing? And I really feel like he was gearing up. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I don't know what he was doing, but he was sending like he was. I think maybe they were recruiting more women so to marry his other people that he wanted to bring over. I don't know. So it became a 6 month long fight because I'm fighting for not even just you, like in the love, because we're not really in love. It's the Negro. I didn't almost kill myself to help you get here, and you think you about to leave me? You think you about to just walk up out of here? Nah. So when I look back on it, it was very immature. But I was breaking phones, like we was arguing, tussling, like and it's just like for what? So finally, I long story short, he kept bringing up the wife. Like he finally tells me, I miss Africa. I miss my wife. I heard him telling somebody who was in Africa to divorce the wife and then go back and get them after he fake marry somebody over here. And I said, oh, this is what you did. And the last straw is when he brought up the wife again, and I just was through. I was literally like he was paying them for me to lose my mind. Like it was such a scare. Like I don't even want to talk about it because it was just such a dark and scary time for me that I didn't know what was going on. Like, and I couldn't, like, nobody understood, nobody believed me. Like it was just like I was in that fight alone, but God literally was there with me. And that's how I'm here to even tell the story, because they did not have anything good for me. Like they wanted me out of here. So I ended up calling. Oh, I went on TikTok after we had this huge fight. I threw all his stuff out, and I was just like, I'm done fighting, because we had been fighting for 6 months. So the TikTok pastor was like, God said it's about to break, because the other, I'm gonna just backtrack. I had joined the church because I was scared for my life. I'm not gonna lie. It was some things that was happening
So
that
what was happening though? Let us know what was
I
happening.
can't even explain it because it was nothing physical. Like if I tell you,
Oh, okay. Mental. You was
I was I was
yeah, okay,
I
I
was
understand.
going
Yeah.
through some things, and I didn't know who was laying next to me. Like he was a whole different person. Like I don't know if you have ever been with somebody and they just turn into
Absolutely.
a person,
Absolutely.
you don't know what they doing. Who are you? Like I was
Mhm.
scared. Like I just I thank God, because I thank God. So I joined the church, and as soon as I joined the church, the lady had told me, the pastor had said, I wish I could tell you, because I was calling people every day. I was crying for January, for the month of January, when I saw he had changed and made his stance. Oh, I'm not gonna say changed. The true person came out. I was crying every day because he was mean. Like this man had never been mean to me before. Like now he being mean. He not talking. He just basically like F you. And I was just like, what happened? So I'm calling people crying. Then nobody had the answers for me. I'm calling the prayer lines for prayer. Nobody could pray for me. Like nobody could tell me nothing. Like I think God really, I had to endure that process for this moment here. So I can tell you about it, because it was no quick fix. I even reverted back to psychics. Like that's how desperate I was. I went back to something I said I would never do, and these psychics was lying to me. That's why I tell people don't go to psychics.
So let me
This
just
is
say
why
this: when you say you went to pastors or churches, they wasn't equipped, and that's the problem that we have with some churches. And I won't say all of them. I will say some of them today. We are not equipped to handle the need of the individual. People have oppressed with spirits. People have things attached to them, and we as believers should be able to cast those spirits out We should be able to help individuals. The word of God says that we should be casting out devils. We should be laying hands on the sick and they shall recover. These are the things that the church should be able to do. The individuals, we go to church, we have to learn how to become disciples of God. And that's what we're lacking in the body of Christ right now. We're lacking being able to see, being able to pick up what an individual is going with and know how to help them, knowing what spirits are attacking them, knowing what spirits are on them, causing them to be oppressed. We as the church have to be able to. This is what we're dealing with now. This is just one situation, woman of God, where you have walked through this and you are able to tell the story, but there are so many more people that are dealing with this today. May not be just particular story, but there is another story where we're supposed to be able to come in and help the people. Ain't no way that nobody should not, and you went to the church, they should have been able to help you in some kind of shape, form, or fashion to see what you were dealing with. So go ahead, Renisha.
Yeah, so yeah, that was, the first beginning months where I reverted back to the psychics and they was lying to me, telling me we were supposed to be together, all this other stuff. So when I finally joined the church, the lady had prophesied to me. She was like, I wish I could tell you God is about to come through and get rid of the fire. She was like, I wish I was gonna tell you that. She said, baby, the fire is about to ramp up. She was like, you got a little more longer in this fire in this den. And I was shook because it was literally like warfare like never before. And I literally had nobody. I was like, until I joined that church. Now I will say the church did give me some people that was praying for me,
Amen. That's
but
good.
it still wasn't. I was still like, this man is crazy. Like
You
I
had to
need,
walk it out. Yeah, you had to walk
right.
it out. Hmm.
So I literally had to walk it out. And um a few months, so that was maybe like March, April, when she told me the fire was ramping up. And then a few months later, that's when everything came to a head. And that's the thing too, you never know when it's gonna be done. So when he told me he missed his wife and all of that stuff, I ended up calling a prophet friend of mine, and the Holy Spirit just moved through her. And she basically was telling me like, oh, God said it's time for them to be exposed, and this is what's happening. And I made the decision to walk away. I could have stayed and been attached to that, but I was just like, no, I don't, I don't want that. So after that, I kind of like my rage, and because people have been telling me like, you have to let. I was even having dreams where God was saying like, you got to let it go, like the whole idea of this, and you worked
Hmm.
hard and you put in all this time and effort, you have to let it go. And it was hard at first because like I literally sacrificed myself for somebody. So at that point in time, after I got the revelation of what was going on, I had peace. And I ended up telling him like, I apologize for just being so angry, because it was really rough.
So I
And
remember you saying one point that if I remember correctly, that when you told them that you were going to leave, and he said that he was going to chop you up. Was that a part of that?
that was before I had calmed down. I can't. It was around that time. So yeah, he it wasn't me leaving. It was me telling
You
um
telling. So tell us a little bit about that really quick.
the truth, and me telling my family, because he basically threatened to kill my family in the spirit. Like he was like, oh, I can have my people. He was like, it'll be fast. You see, it works really fast. And he was gone, because I was like, it was just, I think that was before. Well, he had joked around, like that was the thing. He was joking, like he said that twice, maybe three times. And then that third time, I said, he keeps saying this. This is something he's thinking about. Because he would be like, man, you just don't even know. I could just cut you up in a million little pieces and put you in a freezer and not think twice about it. But then he was like, but I just love you so much, so I could never do that to you.
Oh no.
And so it was the third time he was like, you really don't know me. I could cut you up into a million little pieces and put you in that freezer. And I said, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna tell my dad I want you. And that's when he was like, if you want to see him live, you won't say nothing to him. And I was afraid because I already saw, like, they had the sister, his brother's sister was scared of whatever things that they got going on. Like, she said that their, I guess, ancestral God is very powerful, and she was scared of it. And
So you was in some deep stuff. Let me just say that this woman of God was really in some deep witchcraft, and to
and I
God
did.
be the glory that you and she had no clue. And that's what happens a lot of times when we get into relationships and we don't even know what we're doing when it's not of God. When we know you don't know the today and time, there's so many witches and warlocks that are running spells and casting spells on individuals to get what they want. Y'all have no clue. And so this is just a story to show you how she have had a this man. Woman of God, God covered you, and you are here today to tell the story to help another sister. And this was so important. And this is why people, really wanted to hear this, because women today want love. They want love. We want love, and we, want to be happy, and you want all of that. But you have to make sure that you are choosing. When I say choosing, you are allowing God to show you who that individual really is. Whatever he's saying, what is he really saying? He's saying this, but what is he really saying? What are the words behind? What is he really saying behind what he's saying? And if you date someone long enough, the real person will show his head. They will.
That's something I didn't do. Now, mind you, I told you I met him. We got engaged after our first date. So I literally knew him for a month. I didn't know him at all.
Mhm.
So I married, and that was one of the things, because it's so much that happened, and like I think the trauma is like letting me forget. But like, he had somebody harass me on social media. I think it was like one of his friends, and they were like, yeah, so you just married a stranger. And I was like, dang, I did though. Like, I don't know him. So after all of that, I like, after I got the revelation of everything that he just used me for, come up, and all the other stuff that they was doing, I apologized for just arguing with him and being so combative. And I was like,
Mhm.
I understand. I was like, because he basically, it was revealed that he was doing all of this to support his family back home. And I was like, that's really commendable that you would do all of this for your wife back home and her family. I was like, I hope one day I can find a man that will fight for me like that. And I left and I went to the water because I wanted to hear from God, and I wanted protection because I was scared. Like, I literally was scared for my life. And
Mhm.
as soon as I started praying to God at the water, he started texting me, please don't fight me. And I said, what is going on? He's like, please don't go against me. Just come home. Let's make it work. Don't. And it's in God's hands now. Like, I'm talking to my father. Like, it's a wrap. So once I guess they realized I started, getting God involved, he changed the narrative of I was trying to kill him and he had to flee our home. Now, mind you, this whole time for 6 months, I'm acting crazy. I'm throwing phones. I'm doing all type of stuff. He came home every night. As soon as I leave and put it in God's hands, I'm trying to kill him. So now he leaves the home and he won't tell me where he's at. And I'm going back. I think I was staying with my mom and dad for a few, because I was just like, I don't want to go back home. But they was like, you need to just go home and, make it work. And that was another thing. Like, I want to advocate against, like, when survivors of violence come to you, the church is so quick to say, stay married. And like, no, like, They don't. God doesn't want women to be in abusive
But
relationships.
did they know everything that he was doing when they told you to stay?
Yes.
My God, my God, my
So
God.
I don't think, and that's why I think they're really religious. I don't think they believe the depth of the wickedness that was happening. So,
Mhm.
they told me to go home or whatever. I went home. And it was more so like God was telling me to go home to pray and like engage in warfare. So he told me to go home and fast for 7 days, right? And I was just praying over my house. Like I was praying Psalms 91. If anybody's dealing with witchcraft, that is the Psalms I would tell you to pray. Psalms 91. I wrote it out, hand written. And I'm telling y'all, I did this afraid, like I was shaking because I didn't know, because I was having dreams that people was coming into my house physically to kill me. I didn't know if he, like, I just didn't know. I didn't change the lock. So I'm literally up, like I'm not asleep, and I'm praying in every room. And I messed up because I was like, oh, I can go to church. Like God told me don't leave the house. Obedience. I'm like, I can go to church. Why not go to church? I go to church. I'm crying. I want my marriage back. Like I'm like, maybe, I'm still not fully grasping that this is not it. So I call him out of weakness and emotion, and he knows, he gets the notion that I'm not at home, so he goes to my house. Well, it's his house too, because that was his house. He put his name on the lease. He goes there while I'm still at church. I didn't have a clue he went there. So I'm going back on my regiment and praying. Now, this was something that once, I don't know, if he got possessed or something, like, because a different spirit was on him, but he started leaving the seat up. And out of the 2.5 years I was with him, the man never left. He was very clean, never left the seat up. Right. So it was just like, I don't know if he was taunting me with it, but like he would just leave the seat up. So when I got back home and I started praying, I'm like, the seat is up. Who was here? So I'm like, oh, maybe I just left it. Like maybe I just left it up, right? So I'm still, because I'm going. I think I was praying in each room 3 times. It was the Psalms 91. So then I see a receipt on the floor. So I'm like, look down. It's a receipt. I'm like, oh, I know I wasn't just at this store. I was like, this man was in my house. But he too scared to come here while I'm not here. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, what is he setting up? Because he not, like, his stuff is in a box sitting by the door. He can't come get his stuff because he's scared of me. But he's coming into this house. So now I'm like, oh, he is on some real deep wicked stuff.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm wrapping up my prayers. So then the next day I meet him at somewhere. And again, he comes back to my house while I'm meeting him while I'm waiting for him at the Walmart. He at the house doing God knows what. So in my mind still, because I'm still a woman, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see him. He gonna see me, in a movie, and we just gonna go back home and make it work.
Mm-hmm.
This man pulls up with another man at this Walmart, and I'm just like, I lost my husband. Like this over. Like I was just like, this is literally over. Like, and so, but in my mind, I'm like, so you've been with this person this whole time while you can't come back home. So, because he's staying at this hotel, he won't tell me what hotel. So now
Oh, he was a man too.
I'm in Detroit. If you in Detroit, grass shit. So I'm following them, because how you just pull up with this person? Yeah, I never knew this person. Who is this person? Where you at? Why? In my mind, you're my husband. I should know where you stand. You should be coming home. Like, we need to be making it work. I follow them like a mad woman. I'm like, I'm about to go to jail tonight. I'm going to jail tonight. So something's like, Renisha, just calm down. Like, it's not worth it. So they scared. So they pull into his job where he was working, and he's like, oh, they just called me into work. I got to go to work. So he's really fronting me off so I can just go home and, let the person spin the block and they go do whatever they was doing. So I pull up on the person And I'm like, what's going on here? They lied, they whatever. And I was just like, you know what? This not worth my freedom. So the next day, no, yeah, I went home. I just went to sleep. I think I prayed, went to sleep, and I woke up and I called him. He wouldn't answer. I called this man 100 times and he wouldn't answer. And then when he finally answered, I'm like, where you been at? Don't ask me no questions. What? Why you ain't been answering my phone? I don't gotta answer to you. Like, it was just like this whole different person. And that's when it was over for me. I broke down and cried because it was just like, who are you? And what did I get myself into? I
Same words I said. Go ahead.
I boo-hoo cry. I'm calling people from the church, they not answering. Cause now in my mind, my husband gay. Like in my mind, I done lost my man to another man. Like on the wife, her boyfriend, these girls, like it's literally too
My
much.
God, today.
So I ended up calling my cousin and I couldn't even speak. I'm speechless. Like somebody I was. I'm just on the phone. She like, I'm coming to you. Just give me your address. So she came, she
You got
prayed,
4 minutes.
and that kind of just that to sum up, that was the end of my relationship. And that whole everything. And a year later, now I can finally say I'm fully divorced and free from that madness.
So how long did it take the divorce?
I didn't file right away. See, we will have to do a part two because the healing process was a whole debacle in
We
itself.
can do a part two. And the reason, and I want you to leave your information, I want you to say your information so that they can know how to find you. Because there are a lot of women that could be. I heard someone on here that said that they knew someone that her sister-in-law, here she go, my sister-in-law is going through the exact same thing. So people are going through these different issues in relationships or dating or married or what have you, and they don't know how to get out of it, and they don't even know how they got into it. One thing that I want to say to the women that's listening here is some key points that she made going through her storm. You have to heal first. Please, if you have gone through difficult issues in your life with men, if you had men or relationship issues, heal. Even if it wasn't a relationship, but it was a family matter, heal. You have to heal first. You have, because you would make wrong, rational decisions because of your emotions, and your emotions can ultimately get you killed. It can kill your spirit and it can kill you in the natural. Okay. Be anxious for nothing. Be anxious. I know women want to be married, but be anxious for nothing because you make the wrong decisions. You think like he looks good, he smell good, he was a doctor. Come on here. Doctor, nice car, got paper. The enemy know your type of Kool-Aid you like. He know the kind of candy you like. Guess what? He's going to send to you exactly what you like so you can fall for it. But if you have your discernment keyed up, you will be able to see that that's just a smoke screen right there. That's just a smoke screen. Again, too, she says she's seen the signs. She's seen the signs, but she ignored them. She's seen them, and she always kept if you listen to her when she talked, Renisha always said it was a little, it could have been like a little voice, it could have been something, but she always was alerted. She was always alerted that this wasn't it. This was not it. She was always alerted that this wasn't it. So even if you hear a small still voice, which is the Lord, and it tells you no. If somebody else come and tell you, she had people tell her that ain't it, that ain't it. Listen to them. Come on. God will always send you a red flag, but you have got to be listening. Be in tune. Do not be desperate. A man can see desperate right on your forehead. Come on here. If you a woman and you in the clubs, you won't hear. I don't care. You in the church, you won't hear. If he ain't right, if he is from his father, is a father of lies, he can see desperate on your forehead. He know if you're vulnerable. These men know. They know if you're vulnerable. They know if you are weak. They can read you a mile away. And they can play on it, just like the spirit of Jezebel. She plays on emotions. She plays on vulnerability, who she can maneuver. Jezebel can be a woman or a male. Understand that. And I did want to touch on something. I want to say this too. The man gonna make time for you. He's going to make time for you. If you are important to him, he's going to make time for you. And also, if you have been in a relationship for a long time, listen, y'all, some women have been in relationships for 3-4 years, or you can be in a relationship for a year, and been like, and you find out that he's not for you. It's like, well, I put a whole year in with him. I ain't leaving him. I've been with him for a year. Girl, I invested too much. We got our ups and downs, and he do this and he do that. But yeah, I put too much. That's a whole year. I ain't trying to do that all. Did you know how long it took me to learn him? Yeah, I know. But you don't want to be sleeping with the enemy. You don't want to marry the enemy. That's what you don't want to do. All right. So all these things that she said, oh my God, we're going to do a part 2 with you, Renisha, because I think everybody loved you and everybody want to hear about your healing process. They want to hear, what happened? How did you get healed? What was the process? What did that look like? Because this was something else. Spells was cast upon her. All kinds of things, you guys. And you have to understand that it's out here. I heard that Sephora was selling witchcraft stuff, and they have it everywhere where kids can get to it. So, children can get to it. A whole adult male, and he was from Nigeria. This is what they do over there. It's a lot of witchcraft. They can get to it, and they can cast spells on you, and you won't know it, okay? So, Renisha, we're definitely going to have her back, guys, and I'm going to make sure y'all know when we have her back. People being married over 10 years and still learning things about their partners. Absolutely. We're going to have her back because I want her to tell her healing portion, and because she has so much meat in the story. So Renisha, please tell us, the viewers, how they can get in contact with you, how they can purchase your book, if they want to book you to speak, whatever. Please give us all that information.
Yeah, so the book will be released sometime next year, but you can find me at CEO Rain on all social media platforms. CEO Rain, REIGN. And yeah, just DM me. Or on Facebook, my name is Renisha Bishop, but on Instagram and TikTok, CEO Rain.
Okay, hold on, I'm putting it up here for them. REIGHN.
REIGN.
REIGN. And that is on TikTok
and Instagram.
Okay. Okay, so that's her on TikTok and Instagram. And then on Facebook, you just Renisha Bishop, right?
Yes.
And when is your book coming out again? I'm sorry.
Early 2023.
All right. All right, this was amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed her. We're going to have her back to tell her healing portion, because women, we got to listen. This is what else I want to say too. When she said the community having accountability, don't run. If you are dating somebody, listen, if you're dating somebody, don't run. Don't run from it. Don't run from your people. Don't stop going to church. Don't run from them. Because ultimately, you really need to be around individuals that can help pray for you and pour into you. Because what happens is when we make the wrong decisions and we start feeling bad, then we start running in shame. Nobody knows, not unless you tell them. 9 times out of 10, someone can pick it up and we'll pray for you. But here's the thing, don't run, because then you allow yourself to run into another hole, a deeper ditch, right? And it's hard for you to come up out of that. So you want to make sure that you are staying around your community and around your people. If you don't have a prayer partner, if you don't have accountability partner, get one. It's very important that you get one. All right. So leave us with some words, Renisha Bishop, to your viewers, the viewers here. Give them some words of encouragement when it comes to dating, and when they are, coming into this place of seeking their mate. What should they not do? Or, give them some encouragement words.
I would say love yourself first. And, as Christians, I feel like as church girls, we are just taught to love others and be selfless. But self-care and taking care of you and prioritizing you is not selfish. It's actually a commandment. God says, love your neighbors as you love yourself. So love yourself first. And I feel like that is the first step into actually entertaining healthy love and genuine people. Because for so long, for 20 years, I didn't know what self-love was. I didn't have a concept of self-care and self-love. Just empathy without boundaries, and people walked over me, misused me, and abused me, all in the name of being good, right? So I would just say be selfish and have strong boundaries, and more than ever, talk to God. No matter if you think He plays you to the left, He left you high and dry, God never leaves you nor forsakes you. He is there with you. So I would just encourage people to cultivate a relationship with Him like no other. Let that be your first priority before a mate. I want to say, like, we are wives, but that is not the highest calling on our lives. We have other things that we need to do for the kingdom, for ourselves, for our community, for our families. Like, don't just think that you have to have a man. Just live life, have a full life, and be happy with yourself first, and not have or think you need a relationship to fill voids, because that's just gonna take you to toxicity and abuse. And if anyone is experiencing domestic violence, I want you to know it's not your fault. You can always reach out to me. We can talk about it. We can vent and pray. I'm actually a trained advocate when it comes to domestic and sexual violence. So I'm always available for survivors.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love it, Renisha. Listen, thank you so much. And if a man is watching, I want you to know that witchcraft can be done on you too. I've, they do it every day to these men out here dating all these women. Listen, but Renisha, I want to tell you, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence on tonight. I had to go a little longer because this story was very intense. It's long, it's an hour and 42 minutes. We just had to do it, but we're definitely going to have her back again to talk about the healing process and to move forward to where, what she's doing now and how she can reach out and help. Also, thank you guys for viewing on tonight. Your girl, your queen, Transparent Tori with you tonight. Everyday Life with Tori Munson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.